හරිම සුමුදුයි.
Tonight on First at 9 this Sunday the 28th of January 2024. To the rescue. India pledges to rescue the Sri Lankan fishermen abducted by Somali pirates. Sri Lanka seeks regional assistance to repatriate the abducted Sri Lankans.
සෝමාලියාව රජය දැනුවත් කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම ඒ අවට තියෙන අනිකුත් රාජ්‍යයන් උනුත් මේ සම්බන්ධව දැනුවත් කරගෙන තියෙනවා. ඒක නිසා අපි
Free and independent. Japanese ambassador in Colombo says Japanese investors are cautiously observing Sri Lanka's economic progress. Says Japan supports the development of a free and independent Sri Lanka.
I think Sri Lanka is geographically placed in a very strategic position and to expand business in the Indian Ocean area. I think Sri Lanka is one of the key countries.
Upward trajectory. Sri Lanka's tourist arrivals see stark improvement within the first 21 days of January. Unbanned. Sri Lanka's ICC ban lifted, says the ICC.
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දෙනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to AdaDerana First at 9. I'm Aditya Singh joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and around the world. Now in your top story tonight, yesterday we reported that a Sri Lankan multi-day fishing trawler was taken hostage with 6 crew members aboard by Somali pirates in the Arabian Sea. In its latest developments, the Sri Lankan Navy revealed that assistance has been sought from the Bahrain-based Combined Maritime Forces to repatriate the local fishermen, while the Indian government voluntarily pledged support to rescue the 6 Sri Lankan fishermen aboard the fishing trawler at the time. Meanwhile, the Department of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources revealed that all communications with the hijacked vessel Lorenzo Putafo have been disrupted since last afternoon. Yesterday, local multi-day fishing trawler Lorenzo Putafo, which embarked on its maiden voyage on the 12th of January from the Dikkovita fishing harbour in Chilau, was hijacked by Somali pirates. According to the Department of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, the abduction had taken place approximately 1,160 nautical miles away from the Sri Lankan maritime boundary. As per the information received so far, 2 other multi-day fishing trawlers belonging to the owner of the hijacked vessel had been sailing in the same area during the time. Crew members on board the hijacked trawler had communicated with the other fishing vessels prior to the abduction via radio technology.
මරන් පණිඩයක් ආවා මෙහෙම අපේ යාත්‍රාව නේවි ලාංචයක් ලංකාවට අරන් යනවා කියලා. ඊට පස්සේ මම ඉස්සස් කිරුවේ නෑ මෙච්චරින් බැලුවා යාත්‍රා තුනම ජාත්‍යන්තර මූලයේ රැකියාව කරනවා කියලා පෙන්නලා. ඊට පස්සේ මම ඇහුවා මගේ 25 යනවා දින අලුත් යාත්‍රාව මම පහමාගේ ස්පීඩ් එකකින් ගමන් කරනවා කිව්වා. ඊයමකට පණිඩයක් ආවා ඒ දෙකකින් වාඩි මොකද පැහැදිලිව අරන් යනවා.
එතකොට යාත්‍රාවේ හිටපු කට්ටිය කතා කරේ වෙලට මේක සිද්ධ වෙන හමාරතුලක් වුණා කියලා
ඒගොල්ලෝ කියලා තියෙනවා අපිට ඉතින් බෝට්ටක් ලං කරලා ඒකට අවුද පිටින් කුඳින බෝට්
However, the Department of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources said that all communications with the hijacked multi-day fishing trawler have ceased at the moment.
අලුත්ම යාත්‍රාවක් නිසා මේ යාත්‍රාව ඉලක්ක වුණාද දන්නේ නැහැ. අපේ මේ යාත්‍රාව සමග සංනිවේදන කටයුතු පවත්වාගෙන ගිය පණිවිඩ හුමාරු යන්ත්‍ර සියල්ලම මේ වෙනකොට අක්‍රිය කරලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒ නිසා අපිට හරියටම කියන්නට බැහැ මේ මොහොතේ යාත්‍රාව අරගෙන යන්නේ කොයි ප්‍රදේශයටද කියලා.
As reports of the hijacked fishing trawler circulated yesterday garnering national and regional attention, the government of India pledged to assist in the rescue of the 6 Sri Lankan fishermen held hostage by Somali pirates. Sri Lanka has also sought assistance from the Bahrain-based Combined Maritime Forces to repatriate the Sri Lankan multi-day fishing trawler Lorenzo Putafo and its 6 crew members.
සෝමාලියාව රජය දැනුවත් කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම ඒ අවට තියෙන අනිකුත් රාජ්‍යයන් උනුත් මේ සම්බන්ධව දැනුවත් කරගෙන තියෙනවා. ඒක නිසා අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා මේ යාත්‍රාවත් ඒ වගේම මේ යාත්‍රාවේ අපේ දීවර සහෝදරයින්ගත් නිරුපද්‍රිතව බේරාගෙන ඔවුන් රටට නැවත ගෙන්නා ගැනීමට අවශ්‍ය කරන කටයුතු කරන්න.
In the meantime, the Fisheries Department also revealed that 6 crew members held hostage were residents of Chilau, while 3 of the 6 fishermen were members of the same family. Now, Japanese ambassador to Sri Lanka, Mizukoshi Hideaki, says that Japan is currently observing the progress of Sri Lanka's debt restructuring efforts. The ambassador also noted that Sri Lanka's challenge at the moment is implementing the legislation passed in the interest of reforming the country's economy. Speaking to Indivariya Muwattana current affairs program at Hyde Park on AdaDerana 24, the ambassador revealed that Japanese investors too are cautiously observing Sri Lanka's progress in order to make their investment decisions. Reminiscing Sri Lanka's commitment to support a free and independent Japan at the San Francisco conference subsequent to the Second World War, Ambassador Hideaki claims that Japan similarly supports the development of a free and independent Sri Lanka amidst rising geopolitical and regional tensions.
Does Sri Lanka have any challenges to overcome and Japanese investments coming to Sri Lanka in the near future?
On the improvements that Sri Lanka is making, I think a series of legislation that are submitted to Parliament by the government for the reforms of government procedures, etc. I think they are now looking to a right direction. I think the challenge is the implementation. So we are watching if those reform efforts will be realized. I think Japanese business people are also watching that as well. As for the Japanese investments, well, Japanese investors are often very cautious, so they are not very quick to decide, to make decisions. So I think they are watching now. But one thing that I can say that perhaps since recently, there are more and more business people who are visiting Sri Lanka from Japan to see the situation. So they are still now watching, observing the situation, and still not at the stage of making decisions for investment. But some Japanese business people are certainly interested in the future of Sri Lanka. As ambassador to Sri Lanka, I would like to promote more business cooperation between Japan and Sri Lanka. But very often, Japanese media only report downside of Sri Lanka only. So I try to give them explanations on the good side of Sri Lanka and about the reforms that the current government is making and potential. Whenever there are important guests from Japan, I will take them to Colombo port and we see all the terminals, and I will explain how important Sri Lanka is as a hub in the Indian Ocean. I think Sri Lanka is geographically placed in a very strategic position, and to expand business in the Indian Ocean area, I think Sri Lanka is one of the key countries.
In recent times, we also seeing the power play that's affecting Sri Lanka, especially with the strategic location. We have India, who has made a steadfast development, and then we have China, who has been investing in development in Sri Lanka's roads and highways, and the United States. What is Japan's stance when it comes to Sri Lanka's foreign policy and how Sri Lanka is dealing with these nations?
Japan is now promoting a policy that we call free and open Indo-Pacific. That is to secure free space in the Indian Ocean and Pacific Ocean, where there is democracy and rule of law. And I think from that perspective, we would like Sri Lanka to develop as a free, democratic, prosperous, and independent nation. That is exactly what Sri Lanka proposed at San Francisco conference, Japan to be. Sri Lanka contributed for independent and free Japan. We would also like to support Sri Lanka's development as an independent, democratic, and prosperous nation.
Now, Minister of Public Security Derana English today claimed that the online safety bill, which sparked local and international concern, was brought to tackle harassment of women and children in the online sphere. The minister made those remarks speaking at an event in Veyangoda. Meanwhile, speaking at the same event, the Acting Inspector General of the Police, Deshabandhu Tennakone, reaffirmed that the Yuktiya operation will not stop until the spread of narcotics in Sri Lanka is curbed.
An awareness program for the Community Police Committee in the Veyangoda Division was held today under the patronage of Minister of Public Security Derana English.
මේ කුඩු කියන බිස්නස් එක මිනිහා අතනගුඩ පත්වනකොට ගෑණි පටන් ගන්නවා මොකද හේතුව ලාභ බිස්නස් එකක්. දැන් බුද්ධ්‍යංශය නැවත හොයනවා මේ අය ඇතුළට යද්දී කවුද අලුතෙන් ආය මේ ව්‍යාපාරය පටන් ගන්නේ? මේක ඒ අය නතර කරන තාක්කල්ම යුක්තියකට මෙහෙයුම අවසන් කරන්නෙත් නැහැ. මේ අත්අඩංගුවට ගැනීම අවසන් කරන්නෙත් නැහැ. මේ යුක්තිය මෙහෙයුමටදී අත්අඩංගුවට මිනිස්සුන්ගේ වත්කම් පිළිබඳ විමර්ශන දැන් ආරම්භ වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඒ විමර්ශන වල අවසන් ප්‍රතිඵලය ලෙස ඒ දේපර රාජසන්ත කිරීම කරනවා.
මම කියලා තියෙන්නේ ජූනි 30 වෙනිදා වෙනකොට මට විශාල වෙනසක් මේ රටේ දකින්න ඕනේ. අපිට ජාත්‍යන්තරයෙන් බාධක එල්ල වෙනවා. මම ඇමතිකම දරනකම් මම මේක නවත්තන්නේ නැහැ. මේ කාන්තාවෝ හා දූ දරුවන් අතවරයට ලක් වෙන අවස්ථා. මේ නිර්වත් ඡායාරූප කාන්තාවන්ගේ ළමයින්ගේ ලක්ෂයකට වඩා සැරිසරලා තියෙනවා සමාජ මාධ්‍යාලේ ගිය අවුරුද්දේ පමණක්. ඉතින් ඒවා ඔක්කොම හිතලා තමයි අපි මේ පනතක් ගෙනාවේ ඊයේ පෙරේදා. කාට හරි කරදරයක් වෙනවා නම් 109 ඩයල් කරලා කම්ප්ලේන් එක කරන්න ඕනේ. අපි පැය 48ක් ඇතුළතදී රටේ කොහේ වුණත් අපි ඒක ගැන කටයුතු කරනවා.
Now, the final rites of the late State Minister of Water Supply, Sanath Nishant, were performed at his residence in Chilao this afternoon. Politicians and SLPP party members were part of a massive crowd of people present to pay their final respect to the late State Minister.
State Minister of Water Supply Sanath Nishant and his personal security officer lost their lives following a fatal road accident on the Colombo-Katanayak Expressway during the early hours of Thursday. The remains of the late State Minister were brought from the Jayaratna funeral parlour to his residence in Arachikatu in Chilo. Politicians, party members and many others paid their final respects to the late State Minister today. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena paid his final respects to the late Sanath Nishant this morning. The final rites of the late State Minister commenced after 1 p.m. today. Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa and Speaker of Parliament Mahinda Yapa Abeyewardena also attended the solemn funeral service.
පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට විශාල පාඩුවක්. මොකද හැම වෙලාවෙම ඕනෑම අවස්ථාවක කෙලින් හිටපු නායකයෙක් හැටියට එතුමා අපි හැම වෙලාවෙම සිහිපත් කරනවා.
සනත්ය දේශපාලනය කරේ මේ දිස්ත්‍රික්කයේ ඉතාමත් දුෂ්කර කාල සීමාවක්. ඒ අභියෝගවලට නොබියව සනත් නිශාන්ත මුහුණ දුන්නා. සනුත්මි, සඳනි, සුහර්ෂි දුවල තුන්දෙනාටත් අපේ චමත් පුංචි පුතාටත් විමතක් කරන්න ඕනේ. තාත්තගේ විරුද්ධ දේශපාලන මතධාරීන් මොන මතේ හිටියත් හෘද සාක්ෂියට එකගව ඔබේ තාත්තා ගැන දන්න කාරණේ පිළිබඳව පමණක් විශ්වාස කරන්න. එයයි අද දහස් සංඛ්‍යාතික ජනතාවක් මේ භූමියට ඇවිල්ලා සනාථ කරන්න කියන එකත් මතක තියාගන්න.
අපි දැක්කදා චමරිගේ කඳුළු පිහදානවා මේ අහිංසක පුතා. හැබැයි සමාජ මාධ්‍ය අද දැක්ක මං තාමත් තියෙනවා දරුවන් හැදිගෑවිලා යන්න ඕන කියලා ගහපු එකෙක් ඉන්නවා. මේ පිළිබඳව අපි අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම කටයුතු කරන්නට ඕන. මේවට තිත තියන්න ඕන.
එතුමන්ගේ ආරක්ෂක නිලධාරී ලෙස කටයුතු කළ අභාවක් ප්‍රාප්ත පොලිස් සැරයන් අනුරාධ ජයකොඩි මැතිතුමන්ට මම නිවන් සුවය ප්‍රාර්ථනා කරනවා. ඒ වගේම හදිසි අනතුර සිදු සැනින් රෝහලට රැගෙන යාම දක්වා කටයුතු කළ විශේෂ කාර්ය බලකායේ එකී සමාජිකයා ඇතුළු අවශ්‍ය ප්‍රතිකාර කටයුතු සිදු කළ රාගම ශික්ෂණ රෝහලේ වෛද්‍ය අධිකාරීතුමන් ප්‍රමුඛ සියලුම කාර්ය මණ්ඩලයට සිද්ධිය සිදු අවස්ථාවේ පටන් සහාය වූ සැමටත් මාගේ ස්තුතිය මේ අවස්ථාවේ මම ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා.
The remains of the late State Minister were taken to the Holy Family Church in Rajagatalua in a procession where the remains were buried thereafter.
Now, the President's Fund, under the auspices of the President and the guidance of the Secretary to the President, will have provisions to extend and enhance the scholarship program for the academic year 2021-2022. According to the President's Media Division, this initiative aims to identify and financially assist challenged students across all provinces of the country, ensuring proper means to pursue their education without any hindrance. Responding to a special request from students, the President also has decided to increase the existing monthly allowance of 5,000 rupees to 6,000 rupees with effect from February. Accordingly, this adjustment further seeks to provide additional support to scholarship receivers, ensuring their financial well-being and uninterrupted learning until they face their GCE advanced level examination. In addition, the President's Fund is set to award a grant to 5,000 students who achieved the highest educational qualifications in the GCE Ordinary Level Examination for the year 2022-2023. Now, following more news on the President Ranil Wickremesinghe revealed that a decision has been taken to set up a special commission to expedite the development of Galle. During an inspectional tour in Galle yesterday, President Wickremesinghe expressed concerns on the slow progress made in relocating government institutions and officers from the Galle fort and emphasized the need to accelerate development efforts. He further went on to highlight the importance of integrating the Urban Development Authority, the Department of Archaeology and other institutions under a unified organizational structure for the Galle Fort Plan, rather the Galle City Plan. Drawing attention to tourism, the President also stressed on the swift implementation of plans to promote tourism in the area. In the meantime, President Wickremesinghe also attended the 2024 Galle Literary Festival in the Galle Fort yesterday. President Wickremesinghe engaged in discussions with literary critics, visited bookstalls and perused some available books. And now taking you to some political news, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa says that Sri Lanka needs another humanitarian operation to economically revive the country. Meanwhile, Minister of Transportation Bandula Gunawardena says that a national agreement is needed to take the country forward. With that, let's take a look at what happened in the political arena today.
එදා ඔබ මිනිමරු ත්‍රස්තවාදයෙන් බේරාගත්තු රට අද දේශපාලන නායකින්ගේ ආර්ථික ත්‍රස්තවාදයට නැවතත් වරක් රට යටත් වෙලා ආර්ථික ත්‍රස්තවාදයට මුලිනුපුටා දමන්නට ඔබට සුවිශේෂී කාර්යභාරයක් තිබෙනවා. නැවතත් වරක් අපිට මානුෂීය මෙහෙයුමක් අවශ්‍යයි. ඒ යුතුයකම රටේ ලක්ෂ 220 වෙනුවෙන් ඉටු කරමුයි කියන යෝජනාව මම මේ අවස්ථාවේ ඔබට කරනවා.
මේ ජනරාල්වරු රියාද් අද්මිරාල්ලා එයා වයිස් මාර්ෂල්ලා ඒගොල්ලෝ හිතුවේ ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ නේද මල්ලේ හැමදාමත් තියෙනවා කියන. මේ ඔක්කොම වෙනස් වෙලා තියෙනවා. කොපි කරන්න පුළුවන් සම කරන්න බෑ. මේක තමයි ලංකාවේ විශ්‍රාමික ත්‍රිවිධ හමුදා විශාලතම සාමික තමයි මේක කාටවත් කොපි කරන්න පුළුවන් මේකට සම කරන්න බෑ.
ඒකෙන් ජාතික ආණ්ඩුව පිළිවෙත කරලා මෙතනනේ.
ජාතික ආණ්ඩුව නෙමෙයි ජාතික එකඟතාවයක්. මුළු ජාතියෙම එකඟතාවයක් ඇති වෙන්න ඕනේ මේ වැඩපිළිවෙල ඉදිරියට ගෙනියන්න. ඒක නිසා තමයි ජනාධිපතිතුමා ආරාධනය කරන්නේ. දේශපාලන න්‍යාය පත්‍ර වලින් තොරව එකතු වෙලා මේ රට වෙනුවෙන් වැඩ කරමු.
දැන් ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ අවසාන කාලය ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ. දැන් මොන ජාතික එකඟතාවයක් හෝ මොන ජාතික ආණ්ඩුවක්වත් මේ රට විනාශ කරපු තමුන්නාන්සලත් එක්ක හදන්න සමග ජන බලවේගයේ හැටියට අපි ලෑස්තිත් නැහැ. අපි හිතන්නේත් නැහැ මේ රටේ මොලේ කලඳක් තියෙන කිසිම කෙනෙක් මේ තියෙන ආණ්ඩුවත් එක්ක ජාතික එකඟතාවයකට හෝ ජාතික ආණ්ඩුවක් හදන්නේයි කියලා.
Now, another suspect allegedly involved in the shooting at Beliatta, which claimed the lives of 5 individuals, was taken into police custody. In the meantime, a bus collided head-on with a three-wheeler on the Galle-Colombo main road today. For that and more news across the island, let's take a look at our News in Brief segment for the evening. A 33-year-old was arrested on Friday on suspicion of possession of the firearms which were used in the recent mass shooting in Beliatta. The police revealed that the arrest was made in the Galle-Rathgama area. Previously, on the 23rd of January, a group of individuals who arrived in an SUV opened fire at a white Defender near the Southern Expressway's Beliatta interchange. 4 people were killed on the spot in the shooting, which took place between 8:30 am and 8:40 am. One other individual within the attacked Defender was rushed to the Tangol hospital with critical gunshot wounds. However, he succumbed to his injuries shortly afterwards. Meanwhile, a bus heading towards Colombo from Galle on the Galle-Colombo main road collided head-on with a three-wheeler in Molligoda. 2 persons sustained injuries in the accident and were admitted to the National Hospital in Colombo for treatment. According to the police, the driver of the bus was taken into police custody over his involvement in the incident. In Panadura, meanwhile, a shop owner who was selling narcotic substances to school children was arrested by the Moranthudu police. 1,600 narcotic capsules were in the suspect's possession when he was taken into police custody. In other news, traffic on the Southern Expressway towards Colombo was disrupted by a container truck which had toppled on the highway last night. A tyre of the toppled truck abruptly blew out while the truck was on its way to Colombo, causing the incident. The Southern Highway Traffic Police said that the driver of the container truck in question was not able to control the vehicle at the time of the explosion of the tyre. In Galanigama, meanwhile, a car travelling towards Horana from Bandaragama hit a motorcycle waiting to make a right turn on the Bandaragama-Horana main road. The incident was captured on a nearby CCTV camera. Now in your business news, Minister of Power and Energy Kanchan Wijesekara stated that with the first unit of the 2-turbine hydro project being connected to the national grid yesterday, phase 1 of the Umaya project came to an end. Taking to X, the Power and Energy Minister added that the first unit turbine of 60 megawatts was synchronized and connected successfully despite the various factors which delayed the project so far. The minister went on to say that the delays as such were caused as a result of the political protests launched against the project, the COVID pandemic, and also due to the economic crisis. Posting on X, Minister Vijay Singh, the project is expected to be completed by mid-February. Now, as Sri Lanka takes strategic steps towards economic recovery, the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority expects tourism in 2024 to see a positive development. So far, a substantial number of tourist arrivals have been recorded for the first 21 days of January. Now, let's take a look at an in-depth statistical report of the number of tourist arrivals within the first 21 days of January.
A total of 142,162 tourist arrivals were recorded during the first 21 days of January, already depicting an increase from last year's number, which stood at 102,545. During the third week of January, Sri Lanka saw the highest number of weekly arrivals during the first month of 2024, amounting to 49,341 arrivals. 8,541 tourists arrived in Sri Lanka on the 15th of January, thereby marking the highest number of daily arrivals within the month. According to the statistics report of the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority, 16% of tourist arrivals were from India, amounting to 22,660 arrivals. Coming in second to India was Russia, claiming 15% of all tourists arriving in Sri Lanka. Significant numbers of tourist arrivals were also seen from the UK, Germany, China, France, Poland, Australia, the US and the Netherlands. Sri Lanka last year recorded a staggering 1,487,303 tourist arrivals, showing immense improvement from 2022, where the total number of arrivals tallied to 719,978.
Now, paving the path for foreign investors to seamlessly invest in Sri Lanka, the NDB Bank and the Colombo Stock Exchange entered into a memorandum of understanding recently. Meanwhile, First Capital Holdings PLC proudly announced the introduction of the First Capital Money Plus Fund recently too. With that, let's take a look at a corporate news segment for the evening.
In a groundbreaking milestone, NDB Bank, together with the Colombo Stock Exchange, entered into a memorandum of understanding to pave the path for foreign investors to invest in the CSE through the inward investment accounts accessible via the CSE mobile application. Accordingly, the key objective of this strategic alliance is to enhance the investment platform for foreign investors interested in opening central depository system accounts via the CSE mobile application. This initiative will further benefit eligible customers, including non-national residents in or outside Sri Lanka, Sri Lankan nationals with permanent resident status or citizenship in another country, dual citizens and Sri Lankan citizens employed abroad. In the meantime, First Capital Holdings PLC proudly announced the introduction of the First Capital Money Plus Fund recently. This significant initiative, the first of its kind in Sri Lanka, offers digital withdrawal and payment facilities through a convenient EMV-enabled card for unit trust and investment accounts, providing customers with a variety of transaction options. Further, partnering with HNB to obtain trustee services, this innovative fund will enable unit trust account holders to access their investments conveniently via the EMV-enabled card. In other corporate news, SLIT Staff Awards Night 2023, a glamorous event celebrating the hard work and achievements of the academic and non-academic staff of SLIT, was held at Ramada, Colombo recently. In celebration of excellence, awards were distributed in 3 main categories for both academic and non-academic staff, with each category highlighting different aspects of the contributions made by these invaluable individuals. In addition, this prestigious event was attended by 400 enthusiastic participants eager to reunite and honor the exceptional performance and dedication of their peers.
Now, in your sports updates, the International Cricket Council today announced that the ban imposed on Sri Lanka cricket has been lifted with immediate effect. The SLC was suspended on the 10th of November for violating the responsibilities needed to be fulfilled by an ICC member. Accordingly, the ban was made particularly for the inability to manage SLC's affairs autonomously and to ensure that there is no government interference in the regulation and administration of Sri Lanka cricket. Following an ICC board meeting on the 21st of November, it was decided that Sri Lanka could continue to compete internationally both in bilateral cricket and in ICC tournaments. However, as a result of the suspension, Sri Lanka was replaced by South Africa as hosts for the 15th edition of the ICC Men's Under-19 Cricket World Cup 2024. And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of AdaDerana First at 9. Stay in touch with us on www.adaderana.lk for the latest developments around the clock. Thank you. Have a great night.
For news and information you can trust 24 hours a day, visit AdaDerana.lk.